What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Preppers Fireside, and this episode's called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So I'm the good, Dave's the badass. Sorry, Brian, you drew the short straw. How's it going, Dave? How you doing?
I'm good, my friend. You?
Yeah, I'm good. All ready for Christmas?
Absolutely, absolutely. You're not, are you?
Not even close. Not even close. I've prepped everything but Christmas. Brian, how you doing?
All good, mate. I'm not ugly. I'm just rugged. Lived in.
He's like Indiana Jones from Wish.
Yeah, that's it. Team you.
Are you all ready for Christmas, Brian?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. All ready to go.
Yeah.
Ish
makes me feel a little bit better that I've got all the presents to wrap and everything to do and late nights coming up. So no time for firesides, but here we are.
One of my daughters had said to me, we were arguing over wrapping paper, and I said I needed to wrap your mum's present. She's like, okay, so you've got time to do one present and mum's to do everybody else's. Yeah, the system works. That's how it's supposed to be.
It works. It works. In the chats, we have Miss Worm, our awesome moderator, is first in the chat. Hello, Miss Worm. She will keep you in check all the way through this, so be careful. CJ, Storage Mouse, Stuart, Barry, Polonium, Charlie Vickers, CJ, Anonymity. And why can I never say that? I don't know. Trade, Suburban Preppers, Band Again, Leanne Mack, Palace Haunter, Paul Thomas, MP. There's too many of you. This used to be easy when 10 people watched, guys.
You just said that and somebody dropped off. We went to 59.
Well, if you not appreciate it, I'm going to leave. Right. We will do it in order of the title. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And the ugly is probably going to be the one that's a bit more controversial of the side of it. But the good points of prepping, right? That's what we're all about. And the reason I want to talk about them is because people watch us who are just starting, who are new and stuff like that. So I'll come to you first, Dave. Why be a prepper? Convince me if I'm like completely new, never done anything like that before.
I think, to be honest, when you have to look at history and you have to look at society the way it is at the moment, I think you have to at least take responsibility for your own welfare and your children's welfare. So, I mean, we kind of live in this society where everything is like at our fingertips. You know, we can go to a shop, we can go water from the tap, you know, and I always think, what if? You know, I'm not saying it would ever happen, but what if it did happen? You couldn't get water from the tap. You couldn't go to the supermarket and get your ready packed steak. You know, it's like, do we not owe it to ourselves to have some sort of security backup for these situations should they arise? And I've always said, like, you know, it's like that saying, isn't it? When disaster strikes, the time to prepare is over. And it's right, because, you know, if this happened tomorrow, there'd be a lot of people that went, oh, shit. You know,
shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah, it's like that. And I think it's like, and it doesn't take a lot to do. And this is the thing. I just think it's like we need to have that kind of backup system. We have backups for everything, you know, in life. You know, if you fall out of work, you have a savings for money. You know, you have the AA if your car breaks down. So why do people not consider the fact that if shit went down, whether it's a power cut, whether it's food shortages, whether there was contaminated water or the water supply went off, why they wouldn't have a backup for it. It makes sense.
Yeah, of course. And it makes sense to us because we're in it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
On the back of what Dave's saying there, Brian, I mean, the argument back will always be, yeah, but it'll never happen. It's fine. It'll never happen. You know.
Piggybacking off one of Dave's arguments there would be, well, it's already happened numerous times.
Yeah.
And you know what? It'll happen again. And you have car insurance because nobody's going to be there if shit goes wrong to fix it. You have house insurance if the thing burns down because nobody's going to be there, right? So with those major things that you spend a lot of time and money on and you would worry if anything happened to them, should we not have the slightest a bit more concern about your family and loved ones, that you take a bit of responsibility for them, right? Because here's a reality check. Nobody's going to be there for you there either. And history's demonstrated that as well. So it's easier to demonise people who are prepping than to actually take some personal responsibility. And it's dead easy to start with a couple of tins. So, go for it.
Yeah, there's no excuse, is there? There's no excuse, really. But, I mean, there's all sorts of reasons people won't do it. We'll go into the bad points in a bit, sort of thing. But, Dave, in peace times, if it's not SHTF, Teotihuacan, whatever you want to call it, in peace times, is there benefits to being a prepper as well?
Absolutely. I mean, if you've seen my channel, you guys have seen my channel, and some of the other people are. And
Miss Worm will post your channel in the comments now.
Yes, thank you. It's basically, I think in peacetime, this is a time for you to learn skills as well as supplying your food supplies and your water supplies. It's also a time where you can get to learn skills that you didn't know before. You know, I mean, I think it was last year, I went on a deer processing course. I went on a pigeon hunting and processing course, stuff that I hadn't done before that I wanted to do, I hadn't done for years. And I think the thing is, when there's no escalation of sales in the shop, so, you know, if they think World War III is going to happen, everyone and his granddad's out to the shop fighting over toilet roll. You know, so it's like, this is a problem. In peacetime, it's a good time to just pick little things up, take your time. You know, every time you go shopping, add an extra tin. You know, get a bottle of water, get whatever you need to do in small amounts, and it will build up. And the next thing you'll realize, oh my God, I've got 2 weeks worth of food here, and I've only done a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, so it's I think it's a good time to learn skills and top up on the stores without actually breaking the bank.
Yeah. Do you see the benefits now, Brian, as being a prepper just in peace times? Do you see the benefits of it?
Yeah, I mean, the main benefit is I actually enjoy it. I mean, it should be fun. You know, I would have to say it's a hobby for me.
We get in trouble for smiling and laughing about serious situations.
You know, even in a serious situation, when we stop laughing, that's a problem in itself. So, no, I think it should be fun. I think it's got a lot of practical benefits from, we've had 920,000 people with no power last week, right? Within a day. Okay? If you had a power bank, even a little small one or some candles, your life would have been a lot better. There's 56,000 people have no water this week down in the south. If you'd bought a couple of bottles in, your life would have been a lot better, right? So, like Dave was saying there, a tiny little bit of self-responsibility and preparation without breaking the bank, where it's a tin and a couple of bottles of water. I mean, everybody, even in the most limited budget, you can buy a bottle of water, or you can fill a bottle of water. You can buy a tin of cheap beans, 2 tins, whatever it is, you can do that. Everybody can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned it should be fun, and, you know, maybe we're just weird if we enjoy it. But do you see a fun side of it, Dave? Do you see a fun side of survivalism?
Absolutely. I mean, the ridicule that I've had over the years is quite amusing to say I'm an MMA instructor, and it's like most of these people wouldn't even say anything to my face. But it's like, you know, it's I enjoy the fact that, like, the food stores and stuff like that is kind of commonplace. It's kind of the thing we do every day as preppers. That's the kind of thing we do. But I enjoy going out and teaching. I enjoying going to learn the new skills, going out into the woods and putting stuff into practice. You know, even in the home, it's like putting defense procedures into practice, and all these things. If we're going to evacuate, it does add to a bit of fun, having little practices with the kids and turning the lights out and going like getting the candles out and stuff like that. You have to, because this is the problem. We'll probably talk about this later. The fear that most people think that preppers should feel, we don't feel, because we have that backup. And I think that's where I am with it. I enjoy it, the fact that I'm learning new skills, I'm sharing new skills, and if it comes, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Just quickly in the chat, I'd like to thank Bob Hunter, your £5 super chat, much appreciated. Thank you. A great prep for your kit is somebody help me out. Stoicism. Okay, there you go. Dyslexic collection. The meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca's letters from Stoic, and the discourses of he's just trying to trip me up. He's like, Mike's a bit dyslexic. Let's see how many long words I can get. Next time Bob sends something, I'm going to say, Brian, read this for me. I could do maths, all right? I could do maths. Barry J said some more courses to add to next year's list. Thanks, Dave, for them points. It saves you money overall, says Band again, which is true. You only have to look at the price. I think I've got cans of chili upstairs that were like 85p when I got them, and now they're like £2. That's beyond an inflation amount.
Do you know when their value will really go up? See, when people can't get them on the shelves.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And then we'll be quids in, and we won't be able to sell them for the money because it's worthless. Dudley Edge says, I buy extra when I can, but I can't prep on a scale that I know I will outlast any serious SHTF.
Can I answer that?
Go for it.
Don't sell yourself short. See the fact that you're buying extra, right? That could help you through 1 month where you're a bit short. It doesn't need to be a serious shit hit the fan thing. Let's not fixate on that. It could be something as simple as you've been short-changed in your wages, you've had a tax bill, or you've had a birthday, and you need to dip into your preps. So don't think you're prepping for the end of the world. You're prepping for minor inconveniences in your life. So what you're doing is great.
Yeah, I mean, none of us in a Hollywood situation where we've got to live in a bunker for 10 years, I don't think all three of us wouldn't have enough preps to cover that kind of time. You've just got to do what you can and mitigate smaller situations, right?
Can I add to that as well, Mike?
Of course you can, yeah.
The thing is as well, it's like you can prep for a little while, right? But even us, if we got lots of preps, eventually it's going to run out. So this is where your skill base is going to have to be counterproductive to your preparations. So if you haven't got no water stored, you need to be able to go and source water. You need to be able to go and purify water. If you've got no food left, you need to be able to hunt and trap or fish, and know how to prepare that, and it goes on and on with everything. Your preps will only get you so far.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Barry's trying to trip me up in the chat. One for you, Mike, to say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I've got kids. Another score. Liam Mack just became a YouTube member. Thank you very much, Liam Mack. It's really appreciated. One step closer to that Land Rover in only about 10,000. So I mean, I think the good points there's an abundance of good points and stuff like that, and you just have to look at any situation. You don't even have to theorize, like you say. Just look around the country, like what's going on with the water down south. That's not the first time that's happened. That's happened like 3 or 4 times this year.
Yeah,
they've had a letter through saying they've got to boil the water or just don't use the tap water. Yeah, it's insane, and so to be prepared for it is just a benefit in its own right.
And they've had permission to put their bills up by 53% in some cases.
Yeah. So a good point, I would say, but someone might throw it in a bad point, is the mental side of things. All right? Because people say, oh, it breeds anxiety and stuff like that, but that's the ugly side of it, and that's what we'll get to at the end. But I think it brings you mental peace, genuinely. It gives me peace of mind. Do you worry Dave, more about the stuff that's going to happen, or are you more peaceful because you've got things in place?
I think the thing is, I'm quite confident that if anything went down, I would have the basic skills and the equipment stored and food and water stored to get me by the worst of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, peace of mind, totally.
Yeah. Are you the same sort of school of thought there, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, you'll always lament the things that you never had, right? But at the end of the day, I get an enormous sense of satisfaction out of knowing that if I was to get run over by a bus tomorrow, my children and my wife would have a chance for a finite period of time, but they would have a chance.
Yeah, definitely. Awareness as well, I would see. The last benefit I'm going to say is awareness. I think since becoming a prepper and more active in the prepping community, I'm a lot more aware of how corrupt the mainstream media is. I mean, I think that's more widely known now, considering the BBC won't play the number one hit at the moment. So we all know how corrupt that is. But it's just like you got a better understanding of things going on. Do you think you're more aware of the news, the real news, Dave, now?
Oh, you're talking to the right person there, aren't you? I mean, it's like
We'll sit back now, Brian. He'll go.
I mean, the thing is, it's like this is a lot of people will find this on my channel and my Facebook that I'm actually. I mean, some people might call me a conspiracy theorist. I just think I deal with facts. Okay, so we all know that the mainstream media will twist anything they want for their agendas, whatever's in play at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen news reports of preppers being labelled as far-right extremists and dangerous terrorists because they grow their own food or they store a couple of tins. You know, it can't be no further than the truth from the truth. But you know yourself, it's like I think a lot more people are waking up now to see the way they play their game. If that makes sense. With conspiracies aside, you know that like it's like, and we'll talk about this later, I imagine, is a lot of the prepper channels. You know, some prepper channels, we've died 15 times this week. Shit, man. It's like, you know what I mean? So it's like, I think this is the
sick
thing.
of living in this underground bunker, Dave. I'm sick of living
yeah. But it's difficult because if you're like me and you don't watch mainstream news, and this is why my channel, I think, don't get as many views as it should, because I don't watch the news. I don't watch TV. I don't watch the news, you know. And I think a lot of people that do buy into that fear, you know, but they still won't prep. I mean, I've got family members, they listen to the radio and go, oh, I think Putin's going to drop a bomb on us. Well, why don't you prep some? Oh, no, I don't need to do that. The shops will still be open. It's like
Tesco will keep going through the apocalypse, no problem.
Yeah.
They'll have their own
boomer apocalypse.
Yeah. Brian, mainstream media, got to keep your thumb on the button, watch it every so often, but are you more aware now as a prepper?
There's two issues with that for me. I always canvass lots of media, and the truth will be somewhere in between. But I spend most of my time canvassing my opinion on Spotify, GB News, Al Jazeera, and YouTube.
Yeah.
And you'll get little snippets from the net, but ultimately it's filtered through a process. So you've got to make up your own mind. But my employment makes me sort of cautious because I look for problems for a living. So hence why getting on roller coasters is not a lot of fun for me.
No, I'll bet overthinking galore.
Yeah.
I don't do roller coasters. Band again said, what bugs can we eat in the UK? I'm pretty sure most of them.
Why would you want to?
Well, I mean, I think Lady J said, I seem to remember something on telly about worms in an omelette. I mean, it doesn't sound too appealing, but it brings me to a point on the guy that said he hasn't got many preps. Anyone like that, I would advise to get like the foraging books and stuff like that. Not so much for bugs, but you'll be amazed how many plants you walk past every day that you can eat, that people don't realize, or you can make a tea out of, or you can do something with. I mean, and that's a book that's like a tiny little book this big, right? You don't need loads of room for the knowledge, and the knowledge will get you further after SHTF than the cans will. So
Somebody has
100%.
an amazing voice. I'm guessing it's your dulcet tones, Mike.
Why you said that?
Robert, you have
No,
an
it's-
amazing voice.
It's definitely not me.
It's got to be you, Scottish.
Oh yeah, my dulcet tones. Yeah, absolutely. You
He's
need
got
a
a great voice.
translator.
Can't understand a word he's fucking saying, but he's got a great voice.
I'm good with sign language.
Does Dave have any books to read on prepping, things to prepare yourselves? Recommend any books,
Yeah.
Dave?
Yeah, well, it's actually quite funny because I'm actually doing a video on this week about my books, my book collection, because we have everything from foraging, because I do videos on urban foraging, to things like the SAS Survival Guide. We have books how to like cook food from scratch, hunting books. It's like, watch the video. There's a video coming out next week, just after Christmas, and it is about the different books I have and the uses that we have from.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, somebody's mentioned a book there, and I saw it the other day. Would anyone buy that huge book, Canadian Prepper, recently? You don't have to dummy out his name. We're happy to say Nate's name. It's no problem. But he reviewed this book, and it was this huge thing, and it was about like rebuilding after the end. And it looked like an interesting book. Then I looked at the price tag. It was like a 300 quid book or something stupid like that.
See, the problem is, Mike, Nate's channel isn't bad, and a lot of the older stuff's even better. But when you get past all the clickbaity shit to make a living, so his content is essentially very, very good. Once you get past all the shit,
I like him now. Did you not see the video I shared where he literally just took the mick out of himself? he literally took the mick out of himself doing all these doomsaying videos, and I thought, right, my opinion on him completely changed because he knows what he's doing. He 100% knows what he's doing.
He's generating a living.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing is, I don't watch him. I mean, I've got to be honest, a lot of these big channels I don't subscribe to. I've never been into the fear-based prepping because I would like put them against me, and I'm probably fitter. I have a lot of knowledge. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and I think I could go on my channel tomorrow and go, we're all going to die in 12 hours unless you watch this, and people go, ooh, like, the chickens, will go like that. Oh, brilliant, and it's
it reminds
you
me
get lots of hits.
It reminds me of them posts that people send you going, if you don't share this with 10 people now, then something bad will happen.
Yeah. Say amen on this post, otherwise you're going to get executed in your sleep. It is, isn't it? But the thing is, I think I'm quite happy being small channel with like a couple of thousand subscribers, and I stick to my guns. I'm real. I say what I think. Half the time, my first videos on YouTube got removed because I said about the COVID pandemic, and they literally took it down. And I'd only just started. Now, if that video was up now, after people have seen everything that's gone on, it would be one of my biggest videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Hawkins has just put £2 in the swear box. You're right, Hawkins. I've not even monetized this one, so you won't get adverts to it because I'm just used to Brian now. I've stopped monetizing the Firesides.
I feel attacked here. Attacked.
Right, let's talk about the bad. Let's talk about the bad things. You gotta yin and yang it. We can't just sell it as some magical dream. Anyone want to jump in before I go into a little list I've got? Any bad points of prepping, Dave?
Yeah, totally. I think the first thing is if you're storing is storage.
Yeah.
I mean, trying to find storage for stuff. I mean, I live in a 1830s Victorian semi-detached, right? I only rent it. I'm not rich or anything, all right? So it's like, and it's huge. But the problem is there's no storage here. There's no cupboards, so it's like literally I've had to build storage for the stuff I need, and this is a big thing because especially if you've got a wife that's not so into it or family members that are not so into it and you're taking up her shoe space, you're in a lot of trouble. So definitely storage would be one of them.
Yeah.
And also I would say about the media's perception of you. Or other people's perception of you. You tell someone you're a prepper. I told someone today, I went to a thing and I said, I teach prepping and survival. And they go like, oh, so you follow Trump? And I'm just like, what's Trump got to do with anything? Trump's in another country. It's like, I don't get the comparison. It's like, and she said, well, like, you're obviously right wing. And I said, why am I right wing? I don't understand it.
They did the math of prepper, gun, firearms, Trump.
Yeah. It's really weird because we do get that, and it's like, if you went to a do and told everyone that you were a prepper and survivalist, they would think you're a weirdo. They'd keep their kids away from you. They wouldn't sit on the same table as you, you know. And all you do is like do some basic primitive skills that we did for years, and store a bit of extra food and water.
I don't see politics comes into this at all. Now, I do know a lot of people on my channel have a similar sort of politics to me, but I think that's the state of the nation. I think that's that drove us to that point. But we know extreme between us. We know far right preppers and we know far left preppers. You know what I mean? It's all walks of life. You don't have to be, you know, gun-toting Trumpophile, you know. MAGA, I've got my MAGA hat and my 20 tins of beans and I'm ready to go.
I'll tell you how the politics thing will come into it. It's because our political overlords, it's easier to demonize you than it is to accept their own failings, because they don't want people asking awkward questions. What am I prepping for? What are you doing to help me? Right? Oh, well, we can't tell you about the problems because then you might panic and ask us questions about the government, what we're doing to help you out. And you might start looking at our own civil resilience compared to the rest of Europe, and it's non-existent. So it's easier to demonise a fringe element that is, albeit has grown in the UK, I would say it's grown in the last year, than to point out, well, actually, we're not doing anything to help it. Actually, we make it worse. We tend to demonise people and label them as nutters or right-wing or whatever, rather than saying, well, how could we maybe help to make this grow, to make people more resilient, especially nowadays?
Yeah, definitely.
So I'd say that. Sorry.
I saw something, Brian, and it was like literally I had Mike. I had this conversation with this woman, and she was like,
get out of my house.
And she was getting she was getting all these tins, and she was stuffing her trolleys and that, and she said to me, and I said, well, like, I'm a prepper, and she's gone, but you're the problem why there's food shortages are happening, because you take food all the time. And I said, listen to me a minute. I said, let's break this down and make it idiot proof for you. This is in the middle of Waitrose, right? And I said, me.
Oh, Waitrose. I can't afford to step through the door.
But I said, I get a couple of tins every now and then, maybe a couple of months. I said, like, you know, I grow most of my own food anyway. I go foraging and we preserve our own food. I said, so which has a bigger knock on the economy is like me buying a couple of tins every now and then, growing and preserving my own food and foraging my own food, or you coming in here spending 600 quid on all the meat you can gather and all the tins because you think there's going to be a shortage. I said, it's people like you. I said, and you're not alone. I said, because there's like, I've seen about 15 of you, like loading your trolleys up with stuff that will probably go in the bin because you're so wealthy. You know, so it's like, it's difficult to get their mentality through to them.
Yeah, but between the three of us, put your hands up if you went and did some panic buying through COVID. No, we don't call this a shortages because we don't buy. Any prepper in his right mind, not just for the sake of, you know, spread the money out, do it over time. If you're loading up a trolley, if you go to Asda now and you filled a trolley with cans, that raises eyebrows. You unload all them cans outside your front door, that raises eyebrows. I don't know about you guys, but my shopping hauls that are on my channel are always 20 or 30 quid. That gets quite a lot, but it doesn't raise any eyebrows or suspicions. Do that a few times, it soon adds up. Do you go and get industrial sized crates of Frey bentos, Brian? I noticed you one short. You one short.
I did actually get 6 pallets of Pepsi today. If you want to judge me on that one,
that's not a prep. That's an unhealthy addiction.
That's drain cleaner, mate. That's literally to dispose of bodies.
What do you mean? I haven't had many since the call started.
Honest to God. Everyone, make sure you go and subscribe to Urban Survivalist channel and Scottish Prepper's channel. You know, help them out. And if we get Scottish Prepper big enough, we might get sponsored by Pepsi at this rate.
I don't need to be sponsored for the smooth Smooth taste of Pepsi Max.
Oh my word!
I'm going to enjoy the smooth taste of Northwest tap water.
I don't know what's worse for me.
Filtered water.
Oh no, it's been through the filter as well. Sorry, I should have added that.
Yeah. Council pop.
Bob Hunter with another £5 donation. Really, really appreciated, Bob. You are covering everything I'm losing having Brian on the channel. What does the lion say to his friends before they go out hunting food? Let us pray. There we go.
I'm out here.
I just go quickly to the chat because I started a couple there. Band again said Cambridge Professor said grid down population cut by 60% in 6 months, allowing existing crops and assets allowance for the rest to survive.
Go read 1 second after. Read that like say Band again. If you've not read it, go and read that book. And I put Mike on it, and it's a fantastic book, and you'll see just how close those figures are.
Yeah, scary. Paul C said the book that we're talking about Nate having on Canadian Preppers channel is How to Restart Civilization. It's about £100, got hand-drawn pictures throughout. It does look really cool, but that's way out my budget. I get my prepper books from car boot sales.
I think the thing is, Mike, on the subject of books, I think if people go for things like the old homesteading books that they used to have, like how they number one.
Yeah.
But it's like we have homesteading books and how to build up your homestead and catch water and stuff like that.
Yeah,
really good things to have.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I started getting them in because I was probably a victim of my own ego a bit, through stuff I've done in the past. I'm just thinking, I can survive. I know what to do. And then I just thought having them books there as a reminder, even if you've got the skill set already, to be able to reference it is going to be handy. And there's lots of stuff I don't know. So getting the books on that, not every group's going to be like something from The Walking Dead where, we happen to have a doctor, we happen to have a nurse, we happen to have an architect, we happen to have, it's not going to work like that, is it? Somebody's going to be missing. I'm not saying you can read a book and then perform surgery or anything like that. So, but it's good to have a bit of knowledge. Yeah, give it a bash. Give it a bash. I'm not a gynecologist, but I'll have a bloody good look. No. Another bad point, which we kind of touched on a bit, is the social stigma, is the reputation. I don't so much get what you're saying, Dave, where if I say I'm a prepper, the first question I usually get is, what's that? But as soon as you start to explain, they have that picture in the head, right? How the hell do you break that image?
Do you know how I do it, Mike? To be honest, I call us prepsteaders. So prepsteading is like an American term for like a homesteader prepper type thing. Mm-hmm. So when I say to people, we're kind of like urban homesteaders, which kind of takes the stigma off. So basically, I tell them we grow our own food. We preserve our own food, we store food and stuff like this. So it takes away from that image of the nutcase, like from Silence of the Lambs, who puts the lotion on his skin, wearing camouflage pants, holding his crossbow. Holding his crossbow and storing a couple of pies. No offense, Brian.
I'm just looking at the crossbow and the pies. Again, I feel attacked.
Yeah, but it's the thing is, I think when it comes to prepping, people have, especially in the UK, they have this vision that we're like American preppers in the UK. So we store loads of weapons. We're most of us are Nazis, and we hate everyone, and we hate the government, and we hate this. It's not true. I personally dislike the government a hell of a lot. I don't hate them. I don't think they do the best for the people, but we still need them because they do provide certain services to us and stuff that would be a struggle without, but it's like learning or getting people to be more self-sufficient. I think that's the way. I kind of word it like, we're kind of trying to be more self-sufficient in urban areas, and all these like lefties that are like want to save the planet and all stuff like this. It's like they like all this because it's like, you're growing your own food, you're preserving your own food. Although I did see an article the other day which said people who grow their own food are contributing to most of the climate damage of the world. So it's like, is this going to be the next thing they attack?
Was this a BBC article?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh God, honestly, Brian, the stigma of being a prepper. Obviously, it's got connotations, right? And you've got to be careful who you tell in general. But is it better to try and change that meaning of the word so people don't fear the word, or do what, like Dave's saying, call yourself something else?
Both points have got merit. Absolutely 100%. Well, that's why we're here tonight. It's to make sure that people are trying to get that message. That's why I'm giving up my time, your time, and Dave's time. Every person that stocks an extra tin of beans or a bottle of water is one less person that's going to be knocking on your door and making you have to make a tough call whether you can afford to give them anything and if they're going to come back with more people. So that's been a selfish motivation that I try to improve people's preps so that they don't put yours at risk. But I deal with humour. I mean, I'll be in lots of different sites every day and the topic does come up and I'll usually break it up with humour, like, oh, I'm one of life's crazy tinfoil hat wearing nutcases. And then when you broach the subject and you actually start to say why and explain things that have happened before, and it's not all about standing under fallout and the nuclear bomb and all this kind of crap. It's about power cuts. It's about water shortages. It's about short-term supply disruptions and everything in between. It's about being a bit short. Everything that we speak about, you can cover that conversation in 10 minutes with a random stranger and you can actually see them change. You can generally see their face change and they're becoming more thoughtful then and there and making them think. Now, if one in 50 people that you speak to bothers their rear end to go and get a couple of tins, it's a conversation worth having.
Yeah, because I've had the same experience. You talk to them and they're like, oh yeah, I get it. Oh yeah, I get it. And then I'll go around to my mate's house and open his cupboards and there's still like two tea bags and a pack of butter and that's it.
That's rich in 2024, mate.
Real butter, le pack. Ooh, la-di-da. Well, you talk about that, and that's probably a big factor for a lot of people because they will see prepper channels like me before I set up my corner. It's a studio, I swear to God, it's not just a corner of a room. Before I set up my studio, you saw all my preps behind me, right? And you see a lot of these preppers like city prepping and stuff like that, the American ones, and they have all the preps. You see Brian now, and he's got like, enough Frey bentos to sink the Titanic behind him. And people might look at that and think, well, I can't afford to do that. Like we had somebody say on there before. So do you think that the expense is a massive factor?
I mean, let's not bullshit. I'm probably pretty extreme in what I buy in volume. I would accept that. I would accept that. That's a fair statement.
Right. Brian's slowly getting enough power banks to power the town he lives in.
I've only got 8, right? You make it sound like my Pepsi problem all over again. But no, I do accept that I probably stock more than I probably need to. Hence why I've got no space and I want to build a workshop in the garden, which I will do. But you don't have to do that.
Shut up. It's going to be a Pepsi shed. It's going to be a Pepsi shed.
Don't be Pepsi in it.
Make a workshop out of the tin from the cans of Pepsi.
It would be too big, mate. I don't have enough garden space.
Sorry, I totally interrupted you. Go on.
No, you're fine. I do worry. I genuinely do worry that I sometimes put the wrong message out because if I'm showing things, it's not that I'm saying you should get hundreds of this. I'm just giving a review of, listen, I've bought this and I think it's either a pile of shit or it's really good. Mm-hmm. But also go to great pains to say that, or try to, that you don't have to go at this end of the scale. And also lower end preps is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But I'll still buy more.
Dave, the expense a big factor of you for prepping?
No, I mean, I've got to be honest. I'm one of these people that, if you notice, I don't show a lot of my preps on my YouTube videos or on my Facebook groups or anything. I will show, as Brian said, it's like I did a short on TikTok or YouTube, one of them, I keep forgetting. But I just said, like, you know, because we grind our own wheat as well. So we try not to buy flour. We buy wheat in, so we get organic wheat shipped in and we grind our own wheat. And I'm saying to people, and then people are going, but that's really expensive. I said, no. I said, if you work out, the wheat grinder I bought, which I've done a review on YouTube, was 80 quid, right? Shameless plug there. 80 quid. A bag of flour now is going up to £2.90 for organic flour, right? So I can get a bag of wheat for like 4 quid. You know, so I grind that down and I get about 5-6 bags of flour out of it. So, you know, it's actually quite a lot.
I would love to be a fly in the wall, Dave, when you tell a stranger. I'd love to be a fly in the wall when you tell a stranger about prepping and you tell them that you're just going home to go on Grinder. Oh, that'll be a conversation killer right there.
Yeah, that would be good. I might do a video on it. But seriously, my grinder journeys. The expense, if you do it correctly, shouldn't really affect you. I mean, we go shopping now, and for instance, last week I've got pretty much what I need. So last week we got a couple of tins of beans, couple of packs of pasta, couple of passata, £5, right? And it's like we didn't even notice her £5. You know, I could have gone and bought chocolate bars around the shop and just stuffed them, or like, you know, I could have spent £5 gambling or something, you know, or I don't know, something. It could have been just wasted, you know. So it's like, and that's just added to it. And you do that a few times, and you've got a couple of weeks' food.
Yeah.
So I think if you keep it to your own budget, I mean, you think if you go shopping and you spend like 200 quid a week on shopping, if you've got a family, right?
Only for those like you who shop in Waitrose, Dave.
We've changed to Sainsbury's now, but now it's literally, it's something that you won't miss on your budget.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And I think if you do it like that, it's like Brian's obviously got the budget to do that, and it doesn't affect him. If he didn't have that budget, he wouldn't do it. He's not stupid, you know. So it's like he would do it more slowly. If like, for instance, next week I've got no food in the cupboard and I managed to get an extra 100 quid in my budget, I don't mind spending 20-30 quid of that to put back in the stores. And I think that's what it is, sticking to budget.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, we don't not going to go on to it on here, but I'm pretty sure all three of our incomes are very different, and we'll prep in very different styles. But you just do it according to. It's like living. You live to your means, right? So you prep to your means in exactly the same way.
Absolutely.
And someone with zero budget, and I've had somebody in one of our lives at one point who said, "I literally have no money to prep," sort of thing. I've said, like, you've got the internet. You're clearly watching us on the internet. So you've got all the research materials you need right there to learn skills, to look at foraging, to, you know, make a plan. Making a plan is free. You know, it might cost you a pencil and a piece of paper if you need to write things down, but just planning and thinking of what you will do if this, that, and the other happens, that's free. So anything you can buy is a bonus, right?
Absolutely.
So the expense can be extreme, and I think it's poor that some channels don't portray both ends of that scale. That they just got like Brian was saying, like, if he wouldn't go and say, look, here's my 8 power banks and this is how you have to prep, or sit there in front of them all going, this is the only way to be. He is honest about it and says, well, just do what you can, get started. But there's so many channels that don't do that. They just want you to buy their giant version of a generator because they get a 10% commission from bloody Willy Bob's.
There's also the needs, Mike, isn't there? There's also the needs. Everyone has different needs. I mean, it's like Brian's got a wife and children. You've got a wife and children. I've got a wife and children. Somebody else might have 6 kids. Somebody else might have no kids. You know, it's like, it's a on necessity and need.
Yeah, 100%,
You know?
100%. Yeah. Any more negatives, Brian? I didn't come to you on your independent ones.
It's very easy to get caught up into the spending cycle of panicking. I must have. So I'm watching a channel and they've got millions of shit. Oh no, I need to do that. So I'm not paying the mortgage this month, whatever. It's very, very easy to go into that loop of overspending, overcommitting, panicking. And we've said this a million times. Live your life. This isn't prepping's not your life, it's a bolt on. It's something to make your life better. It's something, if your life takes a turn for the worse, to help it. It's not your life. This is a hobby, it's a pastime, it's something that you do to enhance your life. It is not and should not be your life.
No. Fully agree. Last point on bad points for me is, well, it's not a bad point as such, but it doesn't work in our favor, is obviously a lack of a wilderness as such in the UK, because people have this type of, they'll look at like preppers that are like based in Alaska or Canada and stuff like that, or they can bug out like Bear Grylls into the woods and disappear forever. We don't have that vast amount of space apart from in the unforgiving Highlands. But do you think that's going to stop a lot of people because they look at these American preppers and they see and they're just like, well, it doesn't work here, we're too small. In the same thing that we're small, people also say, oh, if we get nuked, we're all gone. So
there's points to both of those, to be fair, mate. Everybody's going to turn into Bear Grylls overnight, and they're going to run into the hills and they're going to live off the land, molesting squirrels into slippers and stuff. That ain't going to happen. Most people will die, and they'll die in about 3 days. So as they strap on the bug out bag that they bought off Temu that I've never used in 3 years, and they brush the dust off it and march the kids, most of who haven't walked 10 miles, never 10 steps, never mind 10 miles, with their phone in hand, bitching and complaining because there's no signal. Yep. Dead. Ain't going to happen. Right? It's just not going to happen. It's pie in the sky. It's absolute bollocks.
Dave's Grinder review.
That sounds so wrong.
That'll get the clicks just because Miss Worms posted it with that.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dave? Because you're centered around knowing your environment, knowing your urban survival skills, and knowing the places around you. And you're lucky enough to have some great places around you, which you can go and see on Dave's channel. But we have a lack of wilderness, right? We can't just disappear into the outback.
We do. I mean, unfortunately, it's like I have this argument because I got this saying for people like that, and I call them wanker in the woods. Excuse the French. You can cut that out. But it's like,
we're live, Dave. We're live.
Oh, right. Okay. So it's, and I have this, and it's like, basically, they think they're going to, as Brian said, they're going to get the bug out bag. They're going to go there. They're going to hunt all these animals, right? And they're going to live off the land, and they're going to build a community, and it's absolute bollocks, right? Basically, what it is like, I go out and I do bushcraft skills, and I go out and I do foraging and survival and stuff like that. And I've been wild camping. I've been camping with no equipment. I've been camping in the woods, right? If you've never been camping in the woods for a night, which most of these guys haven't even been out for an overnighter in the woods, it's a very strange sensation. It really is.
Yeah,
and it's a very frightening thing.
Just let me add to that he means in the woods on your own, not in a campsite at Haven surrounded by fences.
Yeah, I mean, in the woods, it's like my friends, like, even when I go wild camping with them, they're like, how do you go off walking in the woods and stuff in the dark? I said, because I've done it so many times. Now it's like I could take my daughter and my wife to the woods. I could build shelter, I could make a fire, I could source water, I could purify water, I can hunt, trap, snare. Again, all this stuff is frowned upon and illegal, but there's enough space.
Theoretical,
yeah. But what you do have to realize is that you're not the only person that's going to go out there and do it, right? My biggest woods here, I think, is 1,500 acres.
Yeah.
Right. There is probably about 3 million people that live surrounding those areas, right? So if you take even like a third of them, 500 people, like even if 500 people want to go to the woods, right? That's a lot of people you're going to be bumping into, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you go up and, you know, say if there's 3 million people and you've got like 1,000 people that want to go and live in the woods, right? That's not, there's no space. This is the problem. There is no space and resources for people to do this, right?
Yeah.
And this is when it's going to start getting antisocial, because basically you're in my hunting area, I've got to get rid of you, or you've got to get rid of me so we can eat. It starts becoming a free-for-all. So you've taken the free-for-all out of the urban areas and you've taken them into the rural areas, you know? And like Mike said, it's like we're quite lucky because I have urban knowledge and also woodland knowledge, rural knowledge, and also coastal, because we're kind of in between. It's quite a good situation. So 5 miles that way, we got the coast. 5 miles that way, we've got shitloads of woods and countryside and that. And the problem is like Brian said, without the knowledge, you're not going to last long. Whether it's the extremes, whether it's the weather, whether it's starvation, whether it's water, whether it's just exhaustion. You know, there's lots of things. Infection.
Sanitation,
You go out there and you cut your ankle, and I've done it before. You slip with a machete or something, you've got a little nick on your ankle, it's fine, but you're out there on your own. There's no medical care, there's no first aid treatment, and that goes septic. You're in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, so it is the combination of skills to have in these areas.
Is that Hollywood's fault? Is that Hollywood's fault for depicting, like, I'm not saying necessarily Rambo as such, but you know what I mean? Depicting that survivalist, that lone survivor, anyone can do it. If you watch any zombie film, everyone's the hero of their own story, right? Everybody watching that film thinks that's going to be them. Nobody watches the zombie movie and thinks, oh yeah, I'm one of those 6 million zombies that got caught in London straight away and I'm already gone. Everyone's the hero of their own story.
The problem is, decades ago, everybody was in that story and was capable of being in the story, because, like, say, a long time ago when I was a little boy, you'd be running through the trees. A stick was a gun, right? You would go fishing. You would be out on your bike. You would be chasing one another. You would be hunting one another, right? You'd be camping in the garden with a sheet. Now, anybody that hasn't camped out in the trees or out in the wilderness before, they won't appreciate how noisy it actually is. And that little creak in the branch, to you the first time you're out there, that's not the wind blowing it. That's a guy with a chainsaw coming to cut your legs off and do whatever he wants with the stumps. Because the mind plays tricks. And until you get familiarised with it and used to that, it's the guy with the chainsaw. It's not the wind. So
I prefer to camp in the rain. It's just that's a nice sound.
I did a video on, and it was actually quite weird. I've been out camping, like, I would say dozens and dozens of time on my own. I've been in all weathers, and I actually posted a video of a wild camping fail that I did, and I had a tent and everything. So I'm experienced. I've got equipment, and I got beaten by the elements. It was literally just the DD tarp was soaked through. This is the treated DD tarp, which is like not cheap, you know, and a Van Gogh tent, and it's the water has gone through the whole lot of it. It's run into the campsite, and I've had to go, look, we're going. Like, to my mate, we need to get out of here because this is not safe now. There's trees blowing everywhere. As we went to go, we got lost. So we got lost in the woods at 2 o'clock in the morning in the pissing rain and cold. All our equipment was packed up. And I said to him, I said, look, all we got to do, I said, we'll keep going this way. And he's going, no, he's panicking and going this way. I said, right, sit down, stop, relax. I said, just breathe. We're going this way. And he's like, and they found our way out. Luckily, I don't know, it must have been fluke or luck. But, you know, what I'm saying there is, on Brian's note, is like, literally, I'm experienced and it still happens.
Yeah.
You know, it does.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the best time to learn, right? You learn from them experiences. Paul C, £5 donation to the super chat. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Thanks for the tips every week. And have a great Christmas, guys. You too, Paul.
And you, my friend.
So there's a few questions, Mike.
Yeah, sure.
Mr. AN, have people noticed that there are far fewer people out in the street? You got it, yeah?
Yeah, far fewer people out on the streets these days.
I'm glad you translated that, Mike, because I didn't understand a word he just said.
Brian said, "Hey,
sausages."
The people notice there are far few people out on the streets these days.
I mean, to be honest, not even as a prepper, just from like living here, my point of view on this is we'd go out till the street lights went off. That's when you'd come home. Yeah. When it was dark, that was your curfew and stuff like that. And I've got kids, and as the kids have got older, I don't even want them going to the park that I can see from my house. And I don't even know if it is a sign of the times, or it's just that it's in the media so much and we know so much about it. It's making everyone scared. Nobody wants to go out. What do you think?
We're risk averse.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to live life. I mean, my kids are quite streetwise kids. I mean, my boys live with my ex, but they're quite streetwise. And she was on the phone to me last week saying, he's just been found in an abandoned building. I couldn't have been more proud, because I do urbex and survival and stuff like that. And he's just like, and I said, what was you doing in there? He said, we was exploring it as a place that we could go and hide out in. And I was like, good lad.
Proud,
yeah, proud dad moment. But the thing is like, as Brian said, as children, we were out in the streets. We used to play Kirby in the street. We'd be riding our bikes in the street. The kids don't do it no more because there's always someone that complain.
Yeah.
They don't want kids running up and down outside their houses now. We got too comfortable with like our kids sitting in front of computer screens.
It's a difficult one though, because if I had a load of kids outside mine, I'd probably think the same thing, because the youth of today is out of control.
Yeah,
because we've protected them so much. You can't discipline your own children. The police can't do anything to them. They know it. That's the worst thing. They know it. I've said it before. It used to be knock a door, run. Now it's knock a door, wait to the open, and just give them shit at the door because they can't do anything. It's just it's broken. Everything's broken. Laco P said, "What is the general temperament in the UK on the ground at the moment? Are people expecting an SHTF situation, taking out the friends that you know that are survivalists or preppers or involved in the kind of area? What are other people like that you spoke to, Dave? Have you noticed people are starting to take notice more? They still got their head in the sand."
No, I think I've got to be honest. They've got their head in the sand, and I think unless the news or the paper tells them to do something, they won't do anything. I mean, it's like, and I've noticed this. Again, I use COVID as an example because COVID was a good example of the way that people reacted to news and media and stuff like that, not just through fear, but to each other. It's like the division that it caused. And I still find that, in answer to the question, the people have still got their head in the sand, but the people still have this attitude against each other. Back in the day, you used to walk down the street. It's like, all right, mate, how you doing? Good morning, good afternoon, blah, blah, blah. Now it's like, what you're looking at. It's like, stay away from him. It's like, he's saying hello to you. He's a weirdo. It's, I think our country is very divided at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Brian?
People are as aware as they want to be. So by that, I mean they don't want to be. They don't want to face a problem. It's easier to ignore it. The happy clapping stopped very soon after the big C, right? The people that were happy clapping and banging their pots at this every Thursday, the fucking seals, flippers, that all stopped. And then they were attacking the very nurses who they were clapping when they wanted a wage rise, and they hadn't had one in 10 years. So that's the best example I could give. But we had the tiniest awareness in May of this year when they re-announced the 72-hour preparation, then changed that from 72 hours to a short period of time, or however the wording's changed.
So get your wet rations, throw them in a cupboard for 50 years, right? That was it.
That's the one, yeah. So there was the tiniest amount of publicity, and it died within a fortnight. That nobody, again, you talk to people and you ask, did you see this? Were you aware of it? Nobody knows. And even those that were aware, that paid the slightest bit of attention, largely did fuck all about it.
Yeah. But anytime anything for prepping or anything like that is in the media, they paint us as what sells, right? The Doomsday Preppers like documentary.
That was the only
problem is-
time it was good publicity in May. That was the only time that prepping
It
as a
wa-
thing.
Yeah, it wasn't demonized. Yeah.
Yes, it was the only
Yeah.
time I've ever seen it. And I thought, have we turned the corner? 2 weeks later, no, have we bollocks?
No. You were going to jump in, sorry, Dave.
Yeah, I think the thing is as well, because a lot of people look at what the media say. If they, I notice it's like the amount of people that like go out buying NBC gear the minute they think it's like or rations. The minute they get news reports that Putin's going to strike or something like that. But if you look at the news recently, what have we seen? We've had alien drones, and we've had kittens catching bird flu, and we've had flesh-eating squirrels. So, I mean, the news is so fucked up. It's like, you don't know what to believe no more, do you? I mean, it's like I look at the news and I see that. I've seen alien drones, flesh-eating squirrels, and cats passing bird flu onto humans, right? So most people just look at that and go, fucking hell, here we go again. Like, do you know what I mean? It's got to be a joke, you know?
Yeah.
But some people actually take that seriously.
Yeah.
You know, so some people will now be preparing, strangely, for some real weird bird flu outbreak or people getting attacked by squirrels in the park because society is so fucked up. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's like, what do we do?
Well, I can change. I can help. I can help with the situation. Starting 2025, I'm having a weekly show, which is going to be a reality check news show. It's not going to be like, oh, it's all doom and gloom. It's going to be, let's look at this news report and debunk it. It's the news is just going to be about what is a lot of crap that you can sift through. So I'm going to start doing that. I think that's better than Doomsday Day X update. So
just don't go
call
to
me
the park,
Canadian
mate.
Mikey.
Don't touch that squirrel's nuts. You'll drive it crazy.
Yeah.
Had a Willy Wonka moment there.
They give you the eyeball now when you go to the park. They literally, you walk past the squirrels like that. See
Edgy
people running in
squirrels.
fear across the park.
It's going to be a different experience when you're out with the kids, though, and you're like, Dad, look, a squirrel, run! Anyway, that's what air rifles are for. Miss Worm said we called that knockdown ginger. That's the Kirby thing. Yeah, I've heard of that before, only because of a song, and I'm going to post the comment in the chat. It's called "The Way We Were Made" by Missing Andy. It's not a very popular song. It's quite a while ago, but anyone listen to that who was brought up in the 80s and 90s will relate to every single word. It's worth a listen at some point. Bob Hunter, £10 donation, much appreciated. Milgram experiment participants were told that they were delivering electrical shocks to someone else, and then most of them continued to go along with it, even when the other person was screaming in pain. Is this where they thought they were doing it, but they weren't? It was like somebody acting on the other side. Yeah, that's scary. People.
It's herd mentality, isn't it? It's like with the whole of society, it's herd mentality. When you watch, when like somebody does something, I watched that experiment where they were in the waiting room, and all these people were in the waiting room, and every time a beep went off, somebody stood up, right? And then the first person was in there, and he just looked at him like for a minute, and he was like, "What the fuck's going on here?" And then eventually,
what did I see this on? I saw this.
Yeah, it's happened on a few things. So eventually they had a room of 10 people standing up and down on the beep because they were there for an interview of some sort. And as the beep went up, he stood down. And the first bloke, he's gone, "This is what we're meant to do." And the second person, he's gone, "Is it?" He said, "Yeah." So like the second person said to the third person, "This is what we're meant to do." By the time you got 10 people, beep, standing up, and every single person that walked in that room did it.
Yeah, I saw. I'm sure it was like Impractical Jokers. I saw it weird like that.
Yeah,
but
they did it on Impractical Jokers.
I've seen it on one of them, and they didn't even tell them they had to do it. They have to just watch
it was a
witnessing the
psychological
behavior.
experiment.
Yeah,
it's
witnessing the behavior.
Name.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's got a special name. I'm not sure what it is.
And maybe we could do that with prepping. Maybe we could do like systematically program people to prep.
If only.
If only. Right, the ugly side of prepping. And we're not talking about these 3 beautiful mugs on your screen right now, of course. We're talking about like the side of prepping that we've all seen, the doomsayers, the fearmongers, the people that live up to the stereotype of shotgun, tinfoil hat, 300 cans of beans. You know what I mean? So how damaging is that, Dave? And how will it ever go away?
Well, to be honest, I think there's a couple of issues I just want to say about, so I'll be as quick as I can. The first one is what you say about the doomsayers. The doomsayers are quite dangerous in the world of prepping, because what they're doing is they're doing it for their own agenda. They're doing it for their own business or their own marketing or whatever, right? But there are people that genuinely fear things and will go home and have anxiety about it and worried about stuff like that. So, you know, I don't follow any of these people. I know they're playing the game, because it's the game you got to play if you want to become big or you want to become famous or whatever, you know. But I think it has a knock-on effect, because some people live in fear. I see people on my groups all the time, because I'm bigger on Facebook than I am on YouTube. So I've got loads of groups. And the thing is like, literally, some bloke posted Canada Prepper. I don't even know the guy, but posted one of his things, and it said, like, he's going, "You're all doomed," and like, you know, war and soldiers on the street and stuff like that. And I said to the missus, I said, "Do us a favour, have a look out the window." She's gone, "Why?" "So any soldiers on the street?" She's gone, "Nah." I said, "Exactly." Fucking blocked his post. I said, "No, we're not having that shit on this group. It's no good." I said, like, until I see soldiers or planes coming onto my country and causing problems, I'm not going to sit there worrying about it. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, and then there was another guy, I think it was, I don't even know the guy. Who's the other one? It's not Canadian Prepper. There's another big one.
NY Prepper is one.
NY Prepper, that was it, yeah. And they put it up there, and it was like, "You must listen to this. We're all in danger." And I'm just like, I'm not even going to entertain it, but like, I was kind of curious to what the danger was. And like, you got like half an hour of bullshit, and it's like, I still didn't find out what the danger was. So I thought maybe he had piles or something. So I just ignored it. You know, it was like,
can I give you a confession on that point, Dave? Is NY Prepper's the one that sucked me in at one point, and he took me. Get your mind out the gutter.
That's some admission.
Dave's got a grinder review. No, no, he did. Honestly, it got to the point. I had to give myself a reality check, because it got to the point where he was doing all these updates, and because of obviously the time difference, I'm lying in bed. Mrs. is asleep next to me, and I've got a news emergency alert playing next to me. And it's only after I like stepped back and took leave of my senses and went back through his channel, and I'm like, is it an emergency alert if there's 12,000 of them? I'm not sure it is. Yeah, he got me.
They do, and this is a problem. And the last thing I want to say before you move on to Brian is, in the prepper scene, is the amount of jealousy and bitterness against other people. And I tell you, I've seen this firsthand, and you're lucky if you haven't had it yet, because I've had people sign up to my Patreon and stuff like that just to literally cuss me and tell me I'm useless. So people have actually paid to insult me, and I'm just like, wow. But I had groups started about me.
Sign me up. Pay me what you want. Insult me.
But I had, and this is true, I had groups started about me, and they were basically I Hate Dave, the urban survivalist groups. So people who hated me of what I did got together in a Facebook group, and they put all my posts up that I was putting on Facebook. They were going on my YouTube. They reported me to the police. They reported me. That obviously there was nothing to report, because nothing ever come of it. But there's actually quite a lot of bitter people, whether they're against the preppers themselves or whether they don't like what you're doing. That's like me, Mike. I join your group, so I get all your info, and then I'll stab you in the back and put your name all over the internet.
Well, I mean,
there's a lot of it about.
I'm a strong believer in no publicity is bad publicity, right?
Yeah,
you've got groups.
Exactly.
I mean, if somebody told me there was a group together of "We hate the UK urban prepper," I would be flattered. Genuinely.
I mean,
like, how many is there? How many
started it?
Can I do a guest speaker?
But you know, Mike, my Facebook group, after that, it went from 500 to 2,100 within a couple of weeks.
Exactly. Hate on me. This is why I don't delete. People have said, why are you deleting? I don't delete anything. If any comments get deleted on my videos, there's only two things. I've deleted it when you're insulting somebody else in the comments, because I'm not having people do that to each other in there. But if you're saying anything bad about me, if you're contradicting anything I say, not a problem. I'll have the discussion with you. I don't delete them. If they're deleted, YouTube do. I invite trolls. It's all good. Every time I reply to you, you've got to come back and add another view to my video. So carry on trolling. That's a list to follow, Brian. The ugly side of prepping, these doomsayers and stuff like that. What's your take?
I think, and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, I think people start out with laudable goals. They start a channel and they try and get a message out. And then they get a little bit of success. Mm-hmm. And then they get some product reviews. And then they realise that ultimately people want to be scared. People want to be... There's a market for this. Let's be honest, if there was no market for it, there wouldn't be like 1.3 million views for Nate and this, that, and next thing. There wouldn't be these channels, right? So people obviously love that sort of shit. Mm-hmm. They must. So they start off as a small channel with moral, good laudable goals about what they want to get out there as a message, what interests them, right? And then they start to make products, reviews, a little bit of money, a little bit more money, a little bit more fear-mongery, a few more reviews, a few more freebies, and then it becomes a business. And then it becomes a fear-selling, self-perpetuating business that they've actually got maybe an employee or two who starts to do the video editing because they're too busy getting more stuff in. And if you look back in most of the big channels like that, right at the start, that is pretty much how the graph goes. And you know what? Listen, fair play to them. Listen, if that's what you want to do, I've got 860 subscribers because I'm a lazy bastard and I can't be arsed making videos unless when it suits. So
dizzy heights.
And the day it becomes no fun, then I'll delete them. So it's pretty simple.
Exactly. I mean, we talked about Nate before, and I'm not gonna slate him at all. Go check out Canadian Prepper's channel. He's got some really good information on there. Different places. Look through it. He's got a massive library of videos. I don't like the DX updates. I don't like anybody sat in a tractor at dark wearing a bulletproof vest telling me there's problems. You're in Canada. Get your bulletproof vest on. Nobody's interested.
This is the thing as well, isn't it, Mike? It's like, why are English people going to people from other countries to get advice on prepping about England? It's like, you live in England, so I've got a really good idea. Let's go and see some bloke in Canada who's got a total different environment, total different lifestyle.
All I'll say to that is SEO. It is what it is. They've been doing it longer. It's been a bigger thing over there for longer. They get more traffic because America's a larger population. And when more traffic goes to them, more traffic's pointed to them. So even people searching for preppers in the UK, NY and all that lot will come up first.
Yeah.
And we've got our big prepper over here, the Lord Lucan of preppers who disappears. But he's gone down that same route, he's gone down that same route, and you can look at his channel and you can see like camping outside and fires and different stuff. And some of the stuff he's doing is not the best practice, but he's still at least trying at that point.
Yeah.
And then like I had a video hit, right? So I had a cost of living video hit about the UK. The thumbnail was very clickbaity, I'll openly admit, and it said dystopian UK, and it was a picture of a food bank with a queue. But it was a picture of a food bank and thingy. 86,000 that was at last time I checked. Compared to my regular views, that's massive. I could churn them out back to back. Not do any cooking, not do any going outdoors, not do any charity challenges. I could churn them out back to back. But I'm not going to, because that success is not worth the integrity for me. That's the only gripe I have. And what changed my mind a bit on Nate was, like I say, he put that video out the other day for Christmas. If you've not seen it, I've linked it onto my community page. It's hilarious. And he just takes the mick out of himself a bit. And I like that he's done that. So it's given it a bit more, made him a bit more real for me.
Yeah.
There's one for Barry Page.
Barry Page, what's he
Well,
asking?
one thing I will say, Mike, quickly as well, is like what I had when I was on Instagram, because I got up to, there's a couple of thousand on Instagram or something. And I had this lady prepper, I'm not even going to mention her name. She started following me on Instagram, right? So the first week I went out and I did a knife video. She did a knife video, right? Next thing, I made some bread, homemade bread. She made some homemade bread, and I thought, I'm going to catch her out. We're going to do some preserves. So we're going to do some like preserving our food. Literally the following week, she was preserving food, right? So I was like, mate, it's got to be a coincidence, because she started following me. I started talking.
I wonder who this is. I have no idea who this is.
She went like that. So me and the missus said, we're going to get some chickens. So I swear to God, 2 weeks after we got chickens, she had chickens. It was like a strange pattern, right? And then my views started falling, but she went up to 400,000 followers on Instagram from doing exactly what I was doing, but she did it in America.
Right.
Insane.
Brian, I think you're thinking of someone different.
How?
Because he's on about somebody in America.
Yeah, she was American.
Oh, right. No, it's not. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
No.
But she
Might be who I'm thinking about.
Yeah, Brian's thinking of somebody who pretty much did the same
I know who
thing
he's
to me.
thinking about as well, but it's like she was taking my stuff from the UK and using it in America, where they've got the big following. And again, fair play to her, but I just thought, well, what am I doing wrong that I'm not getting the views that she's doing, and I'm doing exactly the same, but properly.
See, I've had the same thing, and I don't mind. You know, if it's good content, you want to copy it, that's fine, not a problem. It's okay. I don't own the license for it. So, but it was every video that hit. So if I've done 5 videos, 3 are not great, one's half decent, and one's really got good numbers, she'd release that same video. It's very similar, you know, straight soon after sort of thing. And it was annoying me at first, but I've just got over it now. But I was tempted at one point to start staple gunning tinfoil to my roof and say that it's for EMPs, just to see if they copied it. Yeah.
It is funny though when they do it, isn't it? Because I was waiting for her, because I do a lot of self-defense stuff, don't I? So it's like I was waiting for her to do self-defense, but she didn't know what she was doing. So instead of that, she started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and started putting her like a blog of her starting self-defense classes and stuff. It's quite amusing, really. But
right, here's a question for you: whether you like them now or not, whether you subscribe now or not, who were the first preppers you followed on YouTube? Who's the first people you started watching?
Mine was Corporal's Corner.
Corporal's Corner.
But I actually spoke to him, and the bloke was a bit of a dick. He joined my Facebook group, and I said to him, I said, "Can you give me some advice starting YouTube? How to do it?" He said, "Oh yeah, I can't give you advice. You got to start yourself." And I said, I said, "I know that, but have you got any tips to do it?" And he was just like total arrogant. So I just like stopped. But it was him, and then I started following the people like Ed Stafford and stuff like that.
That arrogance, I don't know where some people get it from. It's hilarious.
It's like fame.
I saw it was not prepping related, so I do apologize. But I saw a guy the other day. His mate had pranked him to get repo men to come round and say they were taking his car. And he started giving it, "Do you know who I am? Everyone knows who I am, blah, blah, blah," and all of this. And he mentioned his YouTube channel. It had like 800 subscribers. And he was saying it to these repo men like everybody in the world knew who. I don't know where these egos come from half the time. You know how hard it was to get the Prepper podcast off the ground? Because people with numbers are just like, they'll come to me one day.
I mean, when you messaged me, didn't you? You messaged me and asked me to join it, to come on it. And I was just like, you know what? I think we had about the same subscribers at the time. I was like, you probably had a few less. But it was like, literally, it's like, I was like, yeah, another prepper, like-minded prepper. Let's do it.
Exactly. You know? But that'll never change for me. I've just had Sapper Prepper, who's part of our community of the channel. He's got a new channel with 20 subscribers. I've just had him on the podcast because it's all about building each other up. Yeah. You were going to jump in at one point there, Brian. Sorry.
I was just going to say, MEN has asked the same question again there. I think we missed it. Where does the panel think we are on the doomsday clock? Well,
we're actually about, are we 30 seconds from midnight officially or something like that? What's the official?
I think we're pretty much in an average man's sex life, so it's 10 seconds.
I think that clock's passed. I think that clock's in. I think anyone who thinks that a magical news announcement will happen saying we are in World War III starting now is in cloud cuckoo land. They didn't declare when World War II started. You know, we had a paper come out saying we are at war once we'd actually put troops on the ground, but the war had already started, right? And we're seeing that right now. As far as I'm concerned, that clock's already pretty much there. Where are you at with that, Dave? Without fear, we're not fear mongering. We're not. Everything's fine.
No. I mean, to be honest, I think I've done like quite a few surveys over the years because, like I say, I've got Facebook groups as well as the other platforms. So I do surveys, and I think, where are you with your prepping? And like to say to people, what do you think is going to happen? And most people don't think we're going to have World War III. They don't think we're going to have pandemics. They think it's going to be a totalitarian state, a control system where basically computer systems are going to run everything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like AI, more laws, more restrictions that you're going to do, and more locking in your homes unless you do what's been told. You know, food. I mean, look what they're doing with the food now. It's like you can't eat anything that they haven't jabbed or put additives to. It's like, you know, and they're getting to the point where I think I read something today that all chickens are going to be homed in houses because of this new bird flu, right? So are they not going to put crows, starlings, ravens? You'd think they'd put all the birds inside, wouldn't they? It's like, but I don't get it. It's like, so I kind of agree with them. I think our state, our surveillance state and our totalitarian state will become worse. And I think that's where we are. I don't think we're going to have a big hit, like you say. We're not going to get an alert saying we're in World War III or aliens have struck or like Beyonce's like released a Christmas #1. We're not going to get any of this shit, right? Basically, what it's going to be a slow burn, as it has been for the last few years, you know, and then all of a sudden they can go like that. I also read something yesterday that said in January the 21st, there's going to be a bird flu pandemic if we don't do what we're told, if we don't store the chickens away and stuff like January the 21st. That is accurate predictions. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, but
you don't know if it's going to rain tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, but do you get what I'm saying? And conspiracies aside, I think if you look at what's happened over the last 5 years, 10 years, and where we've gone, the restrictions we got, you know, because they pass laws every 5 minutes, you know. While they're saying that Putin's going to strike, they're passing a law saying that you're not going to be able to drive your car after 9 o'clock at night. Just an example. But you know, it's like, and
I'm watching this as well because you're on. You can go on the government website and you can see all the different legislations and what states are coming through, and lots of it doesn't touch the news.
I think what people are going to find is that in 2 years' time, they're going to find out that they've had some rights taken away or something's happened that they didn't even know about. And they're going to come and say, right, you're not allowed outside your house from 10 until 2 in the morning. And everyone's going to go, no, we ain't having that. No, it's there. We told you. You know, and I think this is it. So I don't think, I'm kind of in agreement. I don't think you're going to get any big hit of anything.
But do you think we're at that stage? If you had to put a number on that doomsday clock, according to official times, we're 30 seconds from midnight.
Well, I would say 2030.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean about time. I mean date.
By then,
By then, we are going to be in a
full Soviet Starmer Union.
North Korea, Starmer, yes.
The
Democratic People's Republic of Labour. Brian, where are we at on the doomsday clock?
I think we're closer than that, I've got to be honest. But I do agree that it's a slow burn. I think we're worse off than we were in the Cuban Missile Crisis, but I think we've took a long time to get there. I think there's so many balls juggling in the world that largely people don't even appreciate, that there's so much conflict, there's so many people make money out of conflict, there's so much governments using conflict as a distraction from social disorder, that they just don't realise how fucked up the world is at the moment, and it's been a slow burn, and we're not at the end of the candle yet. And should anybody make a knee-jerk reaction and overcommit, we'll never know about it, because it will happen at 3 o'clock in the morning when the reaction times are slowest anyway. God forbid, none of us will ever wake up. Right, and that is probably the reality for most in the UK, if not Western Europe. If it ever went to a hot conflict like that, you're just not going to know about it because you'll be dead. So I won't lose a minute's sleep worrying about it. But I think we're on a slow burn to a number of catastrophes that are coming our way.
Yeah. I think it's, like I say, I don't think it's going to be some major event. Touch wood, could possibly be. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I think Dan from startprepping.co.uk said it's the crumblies, it's just things deteriorating, it's not looking after our own grid, it's not looking after our own population, it's under housing, it's food costs, it's absolutely everything. It's the farmers. Soon we're going to be without half the farmers, once they start having to pass that down to the next generation. Most of them farms are going to half in size at least, because they're going to have to sell off half of it to pay the inheritance tax.
Anyway. Take your pick. Remember back when you were younger and the weather patterns that were there, although I don't say global warming's not a thing, but I do remember, not through rose-tinted glasses, what the weather was like when I was a kid. And it ain't like that now. It ain't like that now. The seasons are totally different. Totally different.
Completely messed up.
They're messed up. Where food distribution's messed up. Where power grid's messed up. The social world order's messed up. Society's fucking broken. Juggle one of the balls in the air and take your pick what one's going to drop. But one of them will drop. I just can't tell you what.
Yeah. In the chat, loads of people are mentioning different channels that they've started off by watching. The Alaska Prepper, Rudy. He does some really good conversations, to be fair, on Alaska's Prepper's channel. I started watching him only because he has a format like this where he's talking to another prepper. So you see both perspectives. Sigma Prepper's channel's been posted on there. Suburban Preppers is in there, who came on my channel. Monkey Wrench is in there. He's not necessarily a prepping channel, but he does a bit of prepping, so go and check him out as well. Guys, take note of the comments who are in here. There's loads of channels, and one thing I'd recommend is YouTube's always going to push them high numbers, and them high numbers are always going to be the fearmongers, right? So try and look past that. Try and search specifically for what you're looking for, and give the smaller channels a chance. Someone might only have 100 subscribers, but his knowledge is going to be vastly superior to somebody else. If we want a name throw, like, I mean, I'll happily say it. Funky Prepper, I started watching him when I first came onto it, and I was watching his old videos because that's what came up on my feed. But then when you start to look into the channel and what they do now, it's just gone completely awry. But his numbers are at 139,000. Yet there's a great channel called The Prepared Pathfinder. And Tom is ex-Pathfinders. He's been in the military most of his life. Absolute amazing experience. Every video is full of knowledge. He's got 20,000. It's a fraction of what some idiots got just because the numbers have pointed that way. So do your research of who you're looking at. Brian's just chuckling away because I said names.
I was just laughing at the diplomatic approach. Fuck it, some idiot.
Yeah. It's got to be said. It's got to be said. And I know I might alienate some people because they do like him, and that's fine. That's your personal choice. All I'm saying is give everyone a chance and find people that are giving you the actual knowledge. If they say they know everything, don't trust them. That's my one bit of advice. If they claim to know absolutely everything about prepping, don't trust them, because they don't. They're lying.
If you want to truly meet somebody that knows everything or says they know everything, just get married. You'll experience that overnight. So that's how it pretty much goes.
There's only two people that know everything. It's either the wife or it's when you get to the pearly gates. That's the only people that know everything. So the other one last. I know. Sorry, I'm kept you really late, lads. If you have to go, just jump out by.
No, that's fine. But it's all good.
The last thing for the ugly side of prepping, it's only been made ugly by people that are not preppers, as far as I'm concerned. But we've got to talk about weaponry, and we've got to talk about not not like people who have firearms and stuff like that, because that's kind of a rare breed in our country, even though you can. But obviously we have crossbows, and we have crossbow ban scares every other year, and potentially going to ban it when something happens. They've just got rid of the zombie knives and stuff like that, and it feels like they're banning everything. Is it preppers, Dave, that are giving these weapons a bad reputation?
No, not at all. I mean, I know lots of preppers that have different bits and pieces that they consider for either self-defense and the shit hits the fan, or they use it for sport. Now, the problem is, it's the same as knives. They started to like talking again about banning knives again. I've seen a few posts, but the guy who takes his knife to the bush or the woods is not the guy that's usually going to stab you to death in the street. Most of these crimes are committed with kitchen knives.
Yeah.
Right. Most of these stabbings are committed with kitchen knives. I did a big look into this because I was worried, obviously, because I teach bushcraft and stuff like that, about carrying knives to and from. And the problem is like, even the domestic violence that happens is kitchen knives. They don't go out and buy a zombie knife and go and stab their husband or their wife. It doesn't happen. They grab something near. And this is the problem. And it's not preppers. I mean, I don't see many. You're obviously going to get the odd ones that go posting them, shooting stupid shit online, or, you know, like they put a video on Facebook. You know, I've seen videos on Facebook of literally some guy who's got a shotgun license, how he's got a shotgun license, taking his kids out and going to shoot like pigeons and stuff, like from point blank range. And, you know,
for fuck's sake.
It's like, and literally it's people like this that are going to get the community of firearm license holders and shotgun holders. They're going to start being more strict with it. I also know people that have had that are kind of prepper guys, but have had their shotgun licenses revoked because they said they have no need for them now they have land. We spoke about this before, I think, Brian. But the thing is, it's like, I don't know many preppers that go out even in their back garden shooting their crossbows or their bow and arrow or throwing knives or stuff like that. It doesn't really happen. It's kind of unheard of. You know, it's usually the twat that like gets pissed up. The last video I see with crossbow was some bloke who got pissed up running around the town with it. Now, what does that have to do with the general crossbow owners population? Nothing.
Yeah. Brian, on the zombie knives thing, because you did a video of like pretty much telling people what it was, like the stipulations of a zombie knife thing and stuff like that. What I hear is the reasoning behind that is because zombie knives give people street cred, and that's why they're used in these cases. I think that's the case, or are they just slowly trying to remove everything?
It was a knee-jerk reaction for appearance's sake, that they're doing something to combat knife crime, right? Won't make any difference because they're not the knives of choice. Okay, like Dave's already went into in great detail, the people that are carrying out these crimes are using everyday items from the kitchen, right, from the knife block. The excuse to ban zombie knives or whatever, and because it was given kudos or street cred or whatever, there'll be a tiny bit of that. The big thing is, it grabs headlines. It's got the appearance that your politicians are doing something to combat knife crime, which is out of control, right? Now, rather than calling it weapons, I'll call it tools. So, preppers use tools, or they'll have hobbies that involve these things. So whether it's crossbows, firearms, or whatever. And if you've had to jump through hoops to get your firearms ticket, the last thing the world you're going to do is do something stupid, and you'll get it taken off you. And on that front,
like him with a pigeon.
Yeah, he's a fucking idiot. I mean, his tickets are gone. He can forget it. For what little it's worth to people to know, yep, I do have firearms, but I am a responsible firearm holder, and I use them for clay pigeons and other things, target shooting, different things. But they're not weapons, and that's not good. You've got to have good cause to have them in the UK, and self-defense is not good cause. right? We're not allowed, same as you're not allowed knives for self-defense, our culture and our laws do not permit these as valid excuses. If you're ever to use that, they're gone. So that's not what we have these things for. If you've got a crossbow at home, it's because you enjoy target shooting, right? What happens further down the line and when shit hits the fan? Rule of law is largely gone then, and God forbid we'll never have to get to that situation. But for most part, it encompasses the lifestyle that we choose to follow. So you like to do target shooting with crossbows to match your skill against the wild, whatever it is, because it's fun, right?
Yeah.
You like to use knives because it's a bushcraft trade, a tool of trade out in the wild to cut up your meat, chop your wood, whatever it is. It's a tool, okay? So it's a form of function. I like to blast clay pigeons or targets because it's fun. It's not a weapon. It's not self-defense. So, but the day that it becomes a headline-grabbing thing, then they'll use it, right?
Yeah.
They'll grab onto anything as a latch to ban, not for value, not because it's going to make a difference, but because it grabs votes, it grabs headlines, and it's for the appearance's sake. It's got no material value in itself.
Exactly. You're not going to ban kitchen knives, are you? You're not going to have everyone at home with plastic spoons and forks, and
No.
They can't possibly do it. I mean, if you want to solve knife crime, make your nation happier. That would be my cure. If we weren't all, broke and fighting to survive, we wouldn't. There wouldn't probably be as much. There wouldn't be as much domestics and stuff like that. But it's just
a couple of points, mate. Sorry, bud. On you
go for it. No, carry on.
Two things in the chat directly relating to something I said there. Yes, if you're an FEC or a shotgun certificate holder in the UK, you will have a flag put on your file at the doctors. And if you've got certain conditions, stress reactions, whatever, Plod will come up to the house and take your guns off you. I have got no problem with that. I think it's a cracking safety measure and it's something that should be encouraged, and it's not a bad thing, right? It just goes to show how responsible generally people in the UK are. Never mind preppers, just in general people. On the solid shotgun shot thing, there is laws and slugs in the UK. Incidentally, you've got to have a Section 1 ticket for that. You can't have it in shotgun, but you can have them.
Yeah. When I did the Civil War reenacting, they were pretty much, it's an Enfield rifle, which is pretty much the same sort of power as a 12 bore, but it's black powder. And because it's an open barrel, you could drop a ball in. You could drop a lead ball in, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So you had to have, I think you had to have Section 1s for that. So
can I add
quite the kick? Sorry, on you go, mate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, can I add that? The thing is, it's like, it's okay banning weapons, right? But if you look at prison, right, these guys have nothing, and they can still kill each other. They still make weapons to kill each other because it's human nature. Yeah. And this is the problem. It's like you said, you addressing the weapons is not the problem, because like somebody could go out and get a hammer and hit someone. It happens quite often. A baseball bat, a hammer, a saucepan, an iron. It doesn't matter. If the intention's there in the first place, they're going to do it. It doesn't matter what they're going to use to do it. And this is where I think they're confusing things, because they want to ban all these weapons, but it's not the weapons they need to ban. It's they need to address society and the problems in society.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you said, Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a happier nation, and you don't have people resorting to that kind of thing. But I mean, from the ugly side of things, where obviously, no matter how big and successful we are within our own communities, we're still living off the back of huge prepper channels and huge prepper influencers from the States who have a completely different view on this. So is that the reason we get the stigma for it, though? Is that the reason? I mean, is that going to put a lot of people off because they think they have to be armed to the teeth? Everyone wants to talk about home defense, self-defense and stuff like that, but we can't. Like Brian says, you can't. I don't have anything for home defense, I just enjoy targeting. I've just been doing archery lessons just for fun. I've just, there's things that you do, but you can't have anything for home defense. And there you go. Dave's got the deadliest weapons ever, just right there.
But no, there's even laws against that, isn't there? It's like,
no, but what I'm saying is, we can't talk about it even.
No.
We can't talk about it even like without rule of law, theoretical, in a zombie apocalypse, or even if you put the most ridiculous spin on it, you get that kind of bad image if you talk about it.
My self-defense videos, Mike, I did. Like, people go to me, well, that's never going to work. I said, because if I show me literally going mental on someone and actually doing it properly, I said, I'll get kicked off YouTube. I won't be allowed to post again. I said, like, you know, I said, I'm only allowed to do so much. So I have to do everything slowly and like relaxed and stuff like that, you know. And the problem is, even when I have people come to my training, they're like, oh, that's a bit rough. I don't like that. I want to learn self-defense, but I don't want to bruise, you know. And it's like, and I think a lot of people are again with the mentality, it's the like, it's not fair. Why should you do that and get away with it, you know?
Yeah, I'm going to start. I'm going to start my own classes, Dave. Hurty words self-defense.
Yeah, it would work, mate.
But yeah, I get what you're saying completely. Bob's another £5 donation. This stream has majority been sponsored by Bob tonight. Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Happy
Thanks,
Christmas,
Bob.
Brian, Mike, Dave, and every peaceful soul in this channel. Keep your head on a swivel, guys and girls, and look out for each other. That's the best advice.
Merry Christmas, Bob.
Merry Christmas, mate.
Right, let's try and sum up because we've gone about 40 minutes over our regular time.
I know, I'm starting to get hungry.
Right, okay, so we've gone through the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So I just want to ask both of you, for new preppers, or for people that are relatively new, or people that are new to even just YouTube but have been prepping for a long time, how do they stay on that path and see the good and avoid that bad and ugly?
Common sense.
Yeah.
There's very few idiots in the world.
One thing you can't teach, though, Brian.
No. But we speak about it and encounter it very, very frequently. But we'll talk about it a lot. If it looks like shite and it smells like shite, it's probably shite. Okay? So look at lots of channels. Does it make any sense? Sense check it. Okay, I'm telling you, you go out into the wilderness with a loincloth. You're Jack Russell and call it cheetah with a Bowie knife, and this will toughen you up for survival. Okay, let's think about that. He's full of shit, right? There'll be a lot of things that jump out straight away as being absolute nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to insult people in the channel and say, look, you know, tell you how to suck an egg. You can see very quickly who's full of shit.
Yeah.
Look at lots of channels. You like some things Mike says, you like some things Dave says, you like nothing what I say. And you'll canvass different opinions, and you'll do what works for you.
You'll like him trying to build a Faraday cage, though. It's hilarious.
Fuck you. No, it's true though. You'll find what works for you, and there'll be a lot of common sense approaches that will radiate from a number of different sources. So if it's either everybody's getting it wrong, or right, which is most likely, a lot of people are saying the same thing, and it makes sense to you because it will make sense. Stick to what makes sense. Keep it simple, right? And have fun. God Almighty, have fun. Live your life. Prepping's to help. That's it. It's not your life. This isn't your life. Collecting, sitting up in a loft full of tins is not what I do for fun. I do enjoy aspects of it, but this isn't my life.
He's lying. He's always there. He's like,
it's true. I never leave.
He doesn't let him.
Patricia makes me stay here.
Dave, how do we stay on the good?
I think the thing is, when you're looking for prepper channels and stuff like that, I think it's like, I don't follow a lot of prepper channels on YouTube because I do a lot, but I will follow people that are on my wavelength, like urban people, like people in the UK. It's like people that's going to literally have a benefit for me. Like I said, there's no point in me learning how to survive in a desert island if I live in the middle of Lewisham, right? It's not going to help me. So my prepping has to be appropriate to my surroundings, my local area, my budget, and, you know, the type of person I am. So this is what I look for when I look for channels. And I think when you're a new guy looking for channels, don't look for people that are like in different countries. You can pick up some good information, but first of all, start with people that are in the same sort of areas as you, that are into the same things, you know, because you've got the same laws, you've got the same kind of weather, you know how to prep for this, and these people have done this and they know how to prepare for these situations, rather than like preparing for Alaskan snow when you live in Dorset. It's like I think it's like
Or
keeping.
climate change is real, Dave. Climate change is real.
yeah. But keep it simple and keep it to what's relevant to you. That's all I can say. Is like I think keep it relevant.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I started. I started because I was following lots of people who had 12 acres of land and enough room in the house for like full-on pantries and stuff like that. I'm like, how the hell does somebody do this in a terraced house in the UK? So
exactly, yeah.
I knew what I already did and I knew what solutions I had, and I thought, do people know? I'll just put it out there and see what the reaction is. So, and the reaction's been relatively positive. And I think a selling point for me to anyone thinking of prepping, not sure about it, on the edge, is I don't know about you guys. There's bad bits and there's always bad elements, but the community's been great.
Yeah,
I've met you two. We've met Andy. We've met Josh. We've not just the Fireside, but the comments. Everyone in here, the community's been absolutely great, and I think it's an absolutely brilliant community. Would you agree?
100%.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And I tell people in my videos all the time, tell me if I'm doing something wrong. Please tell me. I'm here to learn as well. And I say to people to watch the comments, because I'll give you some advice and do my best to give you some advice. But there will be somebody in the comments that's an expert. We did a live and we were talking about, somebody asked a question about using oxygen tanks in a sealed environment.
That was right,
yeah. You were on that one, weren't you, Dave?
Yeah,
it was me and you. And we were talking about it and we were giving our best guess. And then some expert diver came in who was part of some diving channel. Like, it's literally his whole job was this. And he answered the question in the chat. It was absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, can't beat the community. Try and
come along to the prepper meet as well. Say hello, grab a can of Pepsi, exchange ideas.
Are you supplying the Pepsi, Brian?
I will have a supply of Pepsi for the weekend. Don't be under any illusions. There'll be Pepsi there. I will have stock.
Free for all on Brian's Pepsi. The Scottish Prepper Meet, which is in June next year. All the details you can find on the community page of my thing. And even if it's not that Prepper Meet, the Midlands Survival Group on Facebook have Prepper Meets. Other people have Prepper Meets, Pioneers Preppers. Just go and get to know the community in person. Yeah. I wouldn't know any of these guys without YouTube, and I've met Brian in person as well, and I'm going to go and look at Dave's grinder in his tunnels at some point soon.
I will not be taking part in that.
Right. We have got to end it because it is very late. Thank you guys for holding out. 116 in the chat. You're absolutely amazing. Don't forget to check out Dave and Brian's channel. Dave, can you give us a quick 30 seconds? What's your channel all about for the people?
It's all about being real. Urban homesteading in an urban area. So in a terraced house, like Mike says, just living in a town, in a house, learning to grow your own food, preserve your own food, forage your own food, urbex, self-defense, everything.
Excellent. So go and check Dave's channel out. Miss Worm's posting the links in there now because she's awesome. But I will also put them in the description after the video is finished. Brian, tell us about Scottish Prepper 73.
Mine's is a collection of random bollocks, for want of a better word. That's basically it. I post things about what I like, about what I've tried, about what I think might work for me, and how it might work for different budgets as well. So the 24-hour video, you can do it like this, or you can do it in a shoestring like that. So I try and do both facets. And I go for technology and.
I just saw that. Lord of the Pies.
Wow. I feel a really harsh fuck off coming on here, I've got to be honest. That's so bad. And so many levels.
But it'll make people click it now because they're wondering what's the pies all about.
I don't have as much time to put videos on as I would like. I'll try and do more next year, but it's been really busy with college and work, so I've not got a lot of time.
Right, quick last shout out for Bob, the sponsor of tonight's stream, with his complete randomness of I can't wait to go to my cryogenic deep freeze unit, wake up in a million years, I will come back as Cilla Black. Surprise. There we go. So random. Yeah, everyone. Also, Miss Worm, who is our moderator, who's absolutely awesome, has her own channel. If you like scary stories, if you just like a soothing voice on an evening, go and check her channel out. There's some great stuff on there. Some really cool old stories. It's somewhat different. So it's taking mind off prepping, maybe. So go and check out Miss Worm's channel as well.
She's
And
awesome.
everyone in the comments and all the people that have joined in, thank you for being here. Really do appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next video.
See you later.
Have a good Christmas, folks. Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas. Yeah, forgot that.
Round the fire, warm and bright, stocked up food for the night. Got our plans set in gold for the days when it's cold. Tools and gear stacked up high in the cabin we reside, listening to the winds howl, prepping for the morning's prowl. At the purpose fireside we stay, ready for that fateful day. Stories shared and hearts alight, round the fire every night. Water stored in jugs and tins, bunkered down through thick and thin. Maps and routes all drawn and laid, preppers live unafraid. At the purpose fireside we stay, ready for that fateful day. Stories shared and hearts alight, round the fire every night.